Hi friends, welcome to James's Hobby Corner. Today I want to talk about practice, meticulous practice. But first, you may notice that my surroundings look different than usual. I'm taking all of my belongings and moving them to a new place of living. I mentioned this a couple of videos ago. I'm moving to a new apartment and it's nice and I'm excited about it and I'm ready for it to happen, but it's been a meandering process of getting everything ready, including taking the pictures off the wall. Now what we have here is some nails with blue tape over them to make us not forget the nails. Because I don't know if you know this, there are many uses for nails. So I'm excited. I can't wait to start living in there and also shooting in there. Practice. Meticulous practice. Practice that makes your eyes bleed. Practice that seems like it's way too much practice. What is the value of this practice? My wife used to play cello in an orchestra, and she would always say that practice makes permanent, and I think this is a very interesting phrase. I think a lot of times when this phrase is used, the context of it is that if you learn something wrong, you will continue to do it wrong, so learn it right in the first place. And there's a lot of truth to that, but I also think it speaks to the idea that, side note, a man with a leaf blower is blowing the sidewalks outside of my window.
Don't you love living in an apartment?
I found another use for those nails, I think. Okay, practice makes perfect. I think that you have the ability to practice in a way that works something deep into your body. It makes it where you're not just doing a thing, but you embody that thing. It expresses itself from within you. I love this concept, and I love to watch people who carry out this concept well. And I think a perfect example of this is the production of my favorite movie, Black Hawk Down.
Just remember when everybody else is shooting the same direction.
I will not speak to all the reasons why this is my favorite movie. It's just perfect. But I'll probably touch on some as I naturally as I move through the content of what I want to talk about in this video. If you don't know, Black Hawk Down was based on an actual raid that happened in Mogadishu, Somalia in 1993. The raid went terribly wrong. 19 Americans died and 2 helicopters fell out of the sky, which turned the raid into a rescue mission. Amazing story on its own. I would encourage you to learn about it. There's a lot to learn from it, but they made this movie about it and they wanted the movie to, they wanted to tell the story with great care. Now, what I particularly love about the process of feature-length filmmaking is that they have a lot of money, they have a lot of resources, they can fly out to some Siberian desert for a shot if they need to. For example, with Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, you had Obi-Wan and Anakin fighting on a volcano planet. There was a volcano that was erupting in the real world while they were shooting this, so they sent a film crew out there to get stock footage of the volcano erupting so that they could put it in the background of the scene, which is amazing. The process of feature-length filmmaking is immaculate. I mean, there's probably a guy whose sole job on set is to make sure the coffee of the cast and crew is kept at a beautiful 180 degrees at all times. So anyway, I was watching behind the scenes of how the actors trained for their roles as soldiers in Black Hawk Down, and it was amazing. They didn't only make them watch some videos of some soldiers running and so that they can make sure they get the movements right, and they practice how they pull up the gun and making sure they don't look like complete doofuses. So in the movie you had Rangers, you had Delta Force, you had pilots. The Rangers went to Ranger orientation, the actual one. Delta went to training, blowing up stuff and banging their way into rooms and learning how to clear things and shooting paintballs at each other and such. Pilots went to pilot training. They got to fly in simulators, which sounds like a blast, but all the actors, they were taught the principles of being a soldier. They were taught about the brotherhood of being a soldier. They were even able to meet the soldiers that were involved in the raid, and one of the pilots, whose role in the movie was one of the pilots of the helicopter that went down, crashed, he got captured. He met the real version of himself, which is, to me, is amazing research as an actor. They wanted to teach the actors how to embody a soldier, not just act as one. I think it's important to remember that a long, meticulous buildup of practice is sometimes necessary to achieve the next level of excellence that you want for your project. Another thing is they couldn't shoot the film in Somalia. It's not a particularly safe place to shoot a feature-length film, so they decided to go with a town in Morocco. So they got the US military to supply them with Black Hawk and Little Bird helicopters for the shooting of the film. These were not animated helicopters, they were actually flown in on a giant US military cargo plane, which is amazing. They wardrobed 1,100 locals, they blew up stuff in the streets, they had helicopters landing in the streets for the rope down shot, for the quick, fast rope, I think.
Fast rope.
Shots in the movie, they had actual soldiers doing that part. And that sounds like a lot of fun. I wish that they would shoot a military raid in where I'm at in Salt Lake City. I can't think of any historical ones that would be fitting. Maybe Vietnam? Less trees for sure. So for this movie, they were not playing around. There were a lot of practical effects. The actors were not necessarily informed of everything that would happen in the scene that was going on, so that when an explosion did happen, there would be actual terror for the... So what is the application of this for us? Well, I think we lose some of the over-the-top, pulling out all the stops nature of things as lone creators. Our process is built, at least partially, out of necessity, and it's more along the lines of we make things work with what we have. When I first started shooting personal videos, it was with a laptop with a webcam on it, and when I shot outside, because I did want to shoot outside, the webcam would not expose properly. It was way too bright because it was designed to be used inside. And so I had I took a sunglasses glass and taped it over the camera so that it would not be too bright. I worked with what I had. But the question is, what would happen if we leaned more into this process of pulling out all of the stops? How much more excellent could our work be if we put in more time up front, if we practice meticulously for something? An excellent result requires an excellent process, and if you want to stand out with your work from other creators, one of the best ways to do that is actually make your work something that other people don't possess because you put in more time than them. You practice more diligently, you thought in directions that maybe others would not think. You sat down and wrote out your idea and pushed yourself a little bit harder mentally than maybe you have in the past. In a previous video, I spoke to photographer Sam Rates, who took photos of wildland firefighters. And we spoke about how he was able to get those shots because he put in extra effort, that the excellence of his photos was in direct correlation to the hard work he put in to get those photos. The act of challenging himself took him to a new place in his work. So perhaps a good idea is for us to look into our process and see how we can practice better. That's it for this video. I would love to hear your thoughts about what I just spoke about, and even something I didn't speak about. Favorite pastry? Goodbye.